Hey, so what we're going to talk about today is how to use the sine law. All right, so the other day we played around with a triangle and we saw how it works, but today we want to use the sine law. All right, so one thing I want to remind you of is the fact that we label a non-right angle triangle. So this is not a right angle triangle, right? So there is no hypotenuse. So if this is capital A, the opposite side is little a. Capital C, opposite side is little c. Capital B, opposite side is little b. All right, and then we have sine A over A, sine B over B, sine C over C, or we have A over sine A, B over sine B, C over sine C. We can use either one. This one we want to use if we don't know an angle. This one we want to use if we don't know a side. Okay? All right, so let's go through a couple of examples. All right, so first of all, to solve for A. A is a side, okay? So I want to write out my sine law with the side on top. So A over sine A is B over sine B is C over sine C. Okay? And now I want to decide which one of these I don't need. Okay? So A, I need, because that's what I'm trying to find out. B, I don't have the angle or the side. So B, I can get rid of. Okay, so I'm using A and I'm using C. So let's rewrite this now with the numbers where I have them. So little a, I don't know, over sine A, 75. Little c is C, so little c is there, 12 over sine C, 36. Okay, so now I just want to go to my calculator and I want to actually enter these values so that I know what they are, right? So A over sine 75, I put that in my calculator and I get 0.97 is equal to 12 over sine 36. I put that in my calculator and I get 0.59. Okay? All right, so now I have to solve for A. Well, there's a denominator here, right? So I'm dividing by 0.97. So to get rid of that, I just need to multiply. So A is equal to 0.97 times 12 over 0.59. And that's it. So now I just put that in my calculator and I get that A is equal to 19.73. And since this is in centimeters, this is going to be in centimeters. Okay? So that's how we use the sine law to solve for a side. So now let's use it to solve for an angle. So there's angle B. Okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to write out my sine law so that I'm solving for angles. All right, so that means that the angles are on top. So sine A over A is sine B over B is sine C over C. So again, let's decide what we need and what we don't need. So A, I have the angle and the side. That's good. I'm going to use that. B, I have the side. I want to find the angle. I want to use that. C, I don't have the angle, don't have the side, so I can't use it. So C is gone. Okay? So now I want to replace all the letters that I know with numbers. So sine A is 56. Little a is opposite of 8, so 8. Sine B, I don't know, so I'll leave it as sine B over 7. Okay? So let's enter into our calculator what we know. So sine 56, we put that in our calculator and we get 0.82 is equal to sine B over 7. Okay? Now, notice that the variable is on top again, right? That's why we used this formula, right? If I want to know the angles, I put the angles on top. If I want to know the sides, I put the sides on top. So I want to put the angles on top, which means sine B is on top. So now I just have to get rid of this 7. So again, I multiply. So that means we end up with 7 times 0.82 over 8. And that's equal to sine B. Okay? All right, so let's put this in our calculator. We get 0.72 is equal to sine B. And now we get rid of that sine, right? Remember, when we have the ratio, but I don't know the angle, we use sine inverse in our calculator. So I put in my calculator sine inverse, 0.72, and that is equal to 46.05 degrees. Okay, so this angle right here is 46.05 degrees. And that's it. Okay, so the main thing to remember is when you're using the sine law to find sides, you put the sides on top. When you want to use it to find angles, put the angles on top. It makes everything a little bit easier. All right, that's it. Now let's get to work.